Hi, everybody. Welcome to Shadow Check, the Sunday edition. Today, we're going to be talking about the war, and it is a war, on the working class and the poor in America. I know it's a shock to you to hear that, because we've all been raised, to believe, it goes back to Reagan, I believe, that America is the city on the hill, the noble country in the world, you know what I mean? That we're just the most generous people in the entire world. And all I have to tell you is that you've been sold a bill of bullshit. So we're going to be looking at a couple of video clips that proves my point here. All right? And they're really heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, okay? Because you'll see old folks in there and you'll see children. Okay, so prepare yourself. It's pretty ugly, but it is America.
20-month-old Israel, his brother, 4-year-old Fabian, and their mother are some of the estimated 40 million Americans facing eviction in the downward spiral of the COVID economy.
They didn't rush us, but they were like, get everything you need.
Rodriguez admits he hasn't been paying rent, behind thousands of dollars.
It's my fault in the eviction. It was a lot going on during the corona. When it hit, I lost my job. So it took me like a month to get another job. This is my check, but I ain't making it with $300. It's literally $300.
Their stroller now carries their possessions.
It's mainly the kids' clothes because me and her just wear the same clothes almost every day. Make sure we got, toilet paper and a little bit of snacks for the kids.
What are you gonna do with all of your stuff?
That's trash. They can throw it in the trash because we don't have a car, we don't have help, we don't have nobody that can come, help us out right now. Nobody.
So this couple has got nowhere to go. They have nobody, okay? And they have 2 little babies, as you can see. And this is the United States of America, the richest country in the history of mankind. We consider ourselves generous. It's total bullshit, okay? The next clip I have for you is equally heartbreaking, okay? And what it is an old lady being kicked out of her apartment. And finally, at the end, because they're in the hot Houston sun, they give her a reprieve and they let her go back in her apartment, but only for one day. And then she's got to find her way somewhere else. Okay, she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have anything. It's an old lady. Okay, so this is how we treat old people and children in America.
At this apartment, the tenant is an elderly woman who can no longer afford the rent. The landlord's mover, Francisco Munoz, works, though he doesn't want to.
I have a family, I have a sister, I have my mom, and we never know. Maybe today is her, tomorrow's me,
Midway through the eviction, Deputy Gant decides it's too dangerous to evict her in the Houston summer heat.
I'm not gonna put her out here in this heat.
And will call social services instead.
You're gonna stay today, but tomorrow you're leaving.
A one-day reprieve with an uncertain tomorrow.
We unite around each other when it's wartime, okay? But that's about it. I mean, Americans can be generous, so like if there's a puppy like stuck in a well somewhere, everybody will send in $1 or whatever it is, me too. And they'll garner, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that puppy out of a well. But when it comes to human beings, not so much. Here's something from The Hill. It's an article which was published on September 3rd. It's basically saying that the CDC issued a ban on all evictions for the rest of 2020. Now, that sounds like great news, right? Wow, we finally woke up. We came around. We got it. No, there's a catch to it, and it's a pretty big catch. All right, so it says basically the coronavirus has forced millions of Americans into unemployment on the precipice of homelessness, okay? More than 10 million people in the U.S. have not yet found work after losing their jobs when the outbreak took hold, a sign that the pandemic has taken the heaviest toll on those that can least afford it. Tenants will be required to pay all the rent due per the terms of their lease in January, a daunting and likely impossible task for many households who would seemingly benefit from the order. So even that is a trick and a lie. So that first family we saw, for example, those two young people and the little kids, that dude makes $300 a week. It's not like he doesn't work. It took him a month to find another job. He lost his job due to the pandemic, but he went out there searching for a job, door to door, got a job, $300 a week. His rent's like almost $1,000 a month, and they can't make it. Okay? So I don't want to hear that bullshit in the comments about like, you know, the poor don't work or whatever. Nobody works harder than the poor. It's total bullshit. Okay? So, and also, legal experts say that landlords could legally challenge the ban. All right. Now, these are people that pretty much just sit around by the pool and do nothing and collect rents from other people. They're called the rentelier, if you want to use a fancy word. Adam Smith, if you read Wealth of Nations, I know they made him into like a capitalist deity. Actually, he understood everything that was wrong with the system. He had his own criticisms as well. In fact, I have a quote here from Adam Smith. It's a quote from Wealth of Nations. The architects of policy are the people who own the country, i.e., the wealth and power. And they make policy to ensure their interests are well served no matter how egregious the effect on others. Adam Smith. They leave that part out. You know, when they talk about Adam Smith, it's all, you know, like, you know, he's like the, you know, this deity on Wall Street and stuff. They leave all the good stuff out. Without an intervention by Congress come Jan 21, for example, 20 to 40 million people could be facing eviction, causing an unprecedented housing crisis of epic proportions in the United States of America. Look, the world is looking at us, man. They see that we don't have any health care. They see how we treat our own people here. They see that the 1% that we have, you know, is like, they're like the richest people in the whole goddamn world. This is the richest country in the history of mankind, but not so great when it comes to the needs of its own people. This pandemic is showing us how screwed up the system actually is. The rich have become richer. Billionaires and corporations have increased their net worth by like something like $500 billion, okay, in this interim during the pandemic. They've received a huge slice of the CARES Act package, something like $877 billion of taxpayers' money, in addition to a tax cut that cost us, you and me, $90 billion. And we're throwing people out on the street. They're living under the bridge and they have kids. Ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves. Okay, and this Congress, both parties, totally corrupt. They're in it together. All right? So, you know, out of that CARES package, what was supposed to happen was money was supposed to be allotted to small businesses. But the way it works is that the banks got the money and the banks held on to the money. Okay? Like I said, $877 billion. All right? And what they did was they made a convoluted system of regulations and whatever. So if you're a small business, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about like the guy who has the pizzeria down the street. I'm not talking about Pizza Hut. I'm talking about the guy who has the pizzeria down the street. You're screwed because you got to go through all kinds of paperwork, this, that, and the other thing to qualify for any kind of benefit whatsoever. All right? So the banks held on to the money. That goes to their the upper echelon of their executive class. You know, they all get paid. The CEO gets, major bonuses. And of course, they do the old buyback of the stock trick. A country is for its people. When in a crisis like this pandemic, it protects the most vulnerable. That's how it should work. The U.S. has decided to redistribute massive amounts of wealth upward to some of the richest people on the planet. They have used this tragedy as an opportunity to widen the inequality gap even further than what it is. Remember, this government easily transferred trillions of dollars in stimulus to Wall Street overnight. gave multi-billion-dollar bailouts to private airline industries and big corporations, yet is finding it hard, really hard and complicated when it comes to providing relief and security to working people, and especially the poor. Perhaps this shows us something. What do you think? Perhaps this shows us who they really serve, who they're paid to serve. MLK once said, in America, we have socialism for the rich and rugged capitalism for the rest of us.